Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Soul School Network. It is August the 3rd, a Sunday, and we welcome you here for this open mic session. Today, we're really opening it up to talk about uh, teachers, really. But before we get started, Sue, will you be doing a guided meditation for us to bring us into the spirit of things?
Sure, I can do that, Greg. Koryank is not with us today, and so maybe we'll just take a moment to quiet our minds together and let go of any busyness. So I won't do a big long meditation, just take a couple minutes. So I just invite you to close your eyes if you wish, lower your gaze, and just notice where your body is. Notice your feet on the ground or a sense of that, your body in the chair, however it is, just notice. And then take a moment to notice your breath in and out. And as you notice your breath, center in your heart, center on your chest, and just notice your breathing. And just be with that for a moment, letting go of anything other than your breathing, the sensation of you where you are now on the planet. And in doing this, envision this light pouring down from the sun through the top of your head, through your body, right down through your root chakra, into the earth, into the core of the earth, into the fire of the mother. And you are one with her. And as you're breathing, she's breathing. We are one with her. Every day is Mother's Day. And this same fire, this light lives in our heart. And we just notice this love in our heart, this sense that we are floating in a sea of love. And we're so grateful for the knowing of the love that's infusing every cell of our bodies and the support that's for us from the invisible realm in all ways, always. And we're so grateful. So just take another moment to center in on your breath and know you can come back to that breath at all times. This is a tool to help you calm and ground and be with what is. And so for this knowing, and this possibility of oneness, we're so grateful. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
Kavita. Hi, Kavita.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
Yeah,
Yes,
up and
nice to
about.
see Michael and Kavita and Susan are some of the founders of the Soul School Network. We're here with a small group today, but the top of the top, the best that we could bring together. And of course, anyone who may be watching on YouTube later, we're there as well. And so we welcome those individuals to our discussion. Today, our subject is basically on this open mic session, talking about your teachers. And what we mean by that, of course, I didn't really have the kind of understanding I do now until learning from the spiritual seekers ahead of me. Um, a teacher could be someone in a classroom, but also could be somebody who is a mentor in life. But also, people learn from everyone around them, really. Our teachers can be challenging to us in some ways, and going through those challenges, we, in a sense, become students of in a spiritual sense, I suppose, of how to deal with challenges and that sort of thing. And so today we're really opening the mic up to hear from our individuals here about who they maybe see as their greatest teachers, some of those teachers who have challenged them, and what the experience has been like, and perhaps how it ties in with their spiritual growth. So let's open the mic now. And who would like to begin? Has anyone had any thoughts about who they'd like to reflect on first?
Yeah, we need an opener to kick this off, make things interesting.
There
I'm
you
not
go.
volunteering though, by the way.
Okay, Michael's put up his hand. Unfortunately for him, he probably made a mistake doing that, but no, I'm joking, Michael. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I'll start. And I'll start by saying that I've had, I guess, four major mentors or teachers that have guided me in my journey. The first one is Father Athol Murray from Notre Dame College in Wilcox, Saskatchewan, back to 1964 to 1968. I was at a college in Wilcox, Saskatchewan, and it was run by a Catholic priest by the name of Father Athol Murray, who was in his late 60s, early 70s when I went there. And he opened my eyes to seeking. He opened my mind to wanting to know. And he opened my heart to feeling in relation to the conundrums of the world, if you will. Father Murray taught philosophy, all sorts of subjects, actually, but he was an off-the-cuff human being. Wilcox, Saskatchewan was a town of about 400 people and 300 students. So it was set in the prairie outside of Regina, desolate like all get out. But it was the 4 best years of my life at the time. And the amazing thing, here we were in 1964, and Père, as we called him, he was affectionately known as Père, decided to build the Tower of God in Wilcox, Saskatchewan. And he managed to get a $25,000 donation from a rich oil man in Calgary. And he built the Tower of God with a wall for the Christian religion, a wall for the Jewish religion, a wall for the Islam religion, and a wall for the great thinkers of the world. This was his mind. His mind was ecumenical, and he was portraying from his mind to very young and easily influenced youth how to think. He would talk about Aristotle and Socrates, and he would talk about Buddha. He would talk about all sorts of topics that as a 17-year-old wet behind the ears with absolutely no focus, listening to a man who in the prairies of Saskatchewan was erudite, filled with knowledge. And the most important part, I guess, well, some of the things that were important, the motto for the school was Luctor et Emergo, which means struggle and emerge. And he pounded that into us, that if you didn't know how to deal with adversity, you weren't going to go very far. So all of the sports teams that I played on were influenced by Père and his inspirational speeches that all the football teams, basketball teams, hockey teams, you name it. If it was Notre Dame, after you had a speech from Per, you were this far off the ground because he was so inspirational. And I went away from Notre Dame with a Bachelor of Arts, which I found out pretty quickly didn't get you very far doing anything, and prompted me to go to law school. And then the second teacher that I had in my life who heavily influenced me was Grandfather William Commanda. Today, August the 3rd, is a celebration of his passing on August the 3rd, 2011, at the age of 97. And Susan and I and my whole family, all of my children, were blessed to have Grandfather William Commanda, Algonquin spiritual leader from Maniwaki, Quebec, basically adopt us like his own family. And we spent 5 years, Susan and I, and Allura was a 9-month-old baby. We spent, 1 year traveling all over interviewing elders with Grandfather William Commanda. And that, of course, introduced me to the Red Road. It introduced me to all of the things that I'm presently doing, which is acting on behalf of Indigenous nations, in particular the Amaqua Nation and the Mi'kmaq in New Brunswick. Grandfather introduced us to ceremony, to spirituality of the Indigenous, and made us realize that the core backing of indigenosity is spirituality, teaching us that the Creator and knowing the Creator and practicing through ceremony and ritual brought us into who we essentially are and what we're meant to be. Grandfather William Commanda, there's not a day goes by, not one day goes by that I don't mention his name, that I don't think of him, and I know is a guide right now and a teacher. He's in the spirit world, but he's very, very definitely with us. This has been confirmed in many readings that myself, Susan, Sarah, Allura have had, where the confirmation is that Grandfather William Commanda is there, and he's there for us. During our sojourn with Grandfather William Commanda, we came to know Willaru Huerta from Cusco, Peru. And Willaru was basically introduced to me through a book by an author from the United States. And Stephen McFadden is his name. And he wrote a book on elders. And it just so happened that I had this contract to interview elders all over North and South America. And so we read about Willaru in this book. And we were on a trip to Mexico with Grandfather, Susan, Allura, and I. And we were on a bus coming from a temple site. And we were talking about amazing people, teachers, etc. And the organizer, a woman who had organized the trip, I said, oh, I've read about this man in Cusco, Peru, and I don't know how I'm going to meet him, but I want to meet him because what I've read about him is quite incredible. And she said, I organize all his North American travel. And from that moment, when we got back to Canada, I was given a budget to bring elders in from everywhere to Ottawa. And so on Victoria Island, in behind the Parliament buildings and the Supreme Court of Canada, we had the most amazing 7-day gathering. And we were able to fly Willaru up from Cusco. And we met him for the first time. And we were all stunned by what he was telling us, because what he was telling us was very different from all the other elders that we had spoken with and met. And what he was talking to us about was the Inca. And what he was talking to us about was esoteric knowledge that I was very familiar with from Helena Blavatsky and Alice Bailey books, Uspensky, Gurdjieff, all of those writers I had been reading, and their knowledge was esoteric knowledge. And here was an elder, as far as I was concerned, who was in the Inca tradition, who was basically speaking esoteric teachings. And the very first teaching, he asked us if he could he give a teaching? And we said, oh, yes, of course. And the teaching was the inevitability of a pole shift. And that was 1998 that he gave that teaching. And if you look around you, you might just see signs of the inevitability of a pole shift in 2025. The prophecy of the elders that there will be a pole shift. And you don't have to spend too much time searching on the newsreels to discover earthquakes all over, volcanoes erupting, magnetic north moving, ocean currents going the other way, etc., 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 all pointing to the inevitability of a pole shift. And I bless Willaroo for introducing us to the Inca tradition and to Peru. He is the reason we are sitting here in the Sacred Valley, in the energy of the Inca, in the energy of the Apus. And I bless him for having been placed in our path to bring about this transition that's still ongoing. Finally, well, not finally, because there's one more to come after that, I became seriously involved in reading up on Babaji. And Babaji is said to be an eternal being who comes and goes. He comes into physical existence in a certain place. He provides teachings and he disappears for centuries, and then he comes back. His disciples, Mahasaya, Sri Yukteswar, and finally Paramhansa Yogananda were all of his disciples. And I came upon the book, The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramhansa Yogananda. And it really influenced me. I was taken with the philosophy of the Hindu. I was taken with yoga. And the definition of yoga is union with the soul, or a union with the God consciousness. That is the true meaning of yoga. And all of these gurus had written, there was written material about them all, and I devoured it. The most recent book I read about Babaji is called Holding the Lightning, Standing Still. And so it's an incredible outline of Babaji's life and the kinds of influence that he had on humanity in relation to teaching the path for enlightenment. And Kriya Yoga is said to be the most definitive outline of the path to union with the soul. I'm presently reading Kriya Yoga by Paramhansa Yogananda. And I highly recommend to everyone the autobiography of a yogi that will inspire you and put you into a place of knowing that will assist you in your path to enlightenment. Yogananda came to the United States in 1930s, 1940s, and he established the Self-Realization Fellowship in Los Angeles, California. You can easily access their material or their website on the internet. And for a mere $100 US, you can join the Self-Realization Fellowship, and they will provide to you monthly teachings on meditation, on physical exercises that, when combined, put you into a position of being able to contact or put yourself into a path that leads to God consciousness. And I highly recommend Autobiography of a Yogi. And that's the Reader's Digest version of the teachers. I could go on and on. With William Commanda, I could go on and on for a week. With Father Athol Murray, I could go on for a week. And with the Hindu teachers, I could go on for a week. But these three mentors, teachers, were placed in my path because this is what happens. We are not the doers. We are the receptacle of the light. And the invisible has your back. The universe has your back. I didn't know an elder when I got a contract to interview elders, and then I met William Commanda immediately, and that embarked upon 16 years of being with William Commanda. Willaroo White did the same thing. And obviously, Father Per Murray influenced me at a very early age. But the main teacher, resides within every one of us, because every one of us is a soul. And we're essentially a soul having a physical experience. So your greatest teacher is within. Your greatest teacher, your healer, your judge, your intuition, your magic, it all comes from the essence of the divine within you, your soul. And so the really greatest teacher of all is your own soul. And practicing yoga, union with the soul, is what will bring about what you're looking for, which is shifting out of materialism into who you are in essence, which is a spiritual being. The word guru, from the Sanskrit, gu is darkness, ru is the light. So a guru leads you from the darkness to the light. Your own soul is your biggest guru. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. I'm really happy you gave us that sort of overview at the end. Really you've defined what a teacher is, and that we are our own teacher. So that's really wonderful. We'll have you do a demonstration of downward dog later, or the yoga portion of our program. Sarah, I see you're available to do a comment. You've been a seeker for a long time. What would you like to share with us in terms of what a teacher is and who your teachers have been or are?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for passing the mic to me. Of course, many of you know that Michael is my father. And I'm here in Peru right now. So I'm tuning in also from Peru, which is really wonderful. I'm usually tuning in from North America, so it's really nice to be here in person. So, Dad, Michael, you gave this wonderful opening, and I think that Dad's my dad. you know, it kept me sort of open to what a teacher is. So it's really interesting what he had to say about guru. Guru, darkness and light. I always say that one of my first teachers actually is a hip hop MC named Guru. Gifted Unlimited Rhymes Universal is what Guru stands for. And when I was growing up, going to school, grade school, high school, I loathed it. I really did not like it. I didn't understand why I was doing it, why I was going there, what was going on. Freezing cold Canadian winters, I would put my headphones on when I would get on the bus. and I listened to Guru from Gang Starr. And, just to say what a teacher is to me, why Guru was one of my first teachers, because to me, a teacher is someone that sparks in you a desire to learn, a desire to study. And Guru's words, he was the first person that sparked something in me. There's a song by the group he was in, Gang Starr, called The Meaning of the Name. And the words are like this. The meaning of the name, Gang Starr, well, I'll tell you. It means I find my mind can excel to a greater type of thought brought by the things that I've been taught in relation to things that I rebel to, divine and combined with a sense of confidence. Accomplishments are achieved on floppiness, but sloppiness, I could never tolerate it. And it goes on, but I was like, what is he saying? What am I learning? And I became fascinated with this kind of underground hip hop where they were telling stories in songs, and it was philosophy. It was about earth changes. It was about polar shifts. It was about things happening in society that I had never heard this before. And I became obsessed with writing my own poetry, rhyme. And I was listening and listening and writing and writing. And that was over 30 years ago. Yeah, about 31 years ago is when I really delved into it. And now 31 years later, I'm a prolific writer myself. I ended up doing graduate school for writing and translation. And all of that was, I never graduated high school. I couldn't stand it. So the teachers for me were the ones that sparked in me, just like what Dad is saying, this desire, when he was explaining Athol Murray, he wasn't present, he said, something along the lines of not paying attention. And then suddenly something grabs your attention. And now my desire to study and learn is so strong, but I know the difference of I don't have to study and learn something I'm not interested in. It's what interests me. And it's something that creates self-development. It's something that creates a connection to the self. And I actually ended up meeting Guru, the MC, before he passed. And I went up to him and I sang him a couple of his songs. And he said, "You remember my lyrics better than I do." And I said, "Well, you brought me something." And he said, "Listen, there's no money in this anymore for me. I don't do this for fame or money. I do it exactly for that, for you, for these people that understand and take something from it. And it's that thing that lights a little spark in someone else, or increases that spark and creates this flame within, this desire to help something grow." And now, that I'm older, continuing to grow through this idea of teachers, they say that the people that hurt us or our conflicts or challenges are our greatest teachers. And that's like an easy thing to hear. But now that I continue to explore whatever is happening in my life through writing and reflecting, I really am seeing my challenges and conflicts as teachers. I'm seeing it as these really wonderful opportunities. And if we can take things that are bothering us or hurting us, whether it's a person or a situation, and say, what's the good fortune in this? What can I get out of this? And as I write about trying to find the solution in the problem or the good fortune in a difficulty, I'm realizing that my longstanding insecurities or my grappling with self-worth, or I'm realizing that, oh, okay, I am really starting to get it, why the problems or the challenges or the conflicts are really teachers, because they only feel that way because there's something in me that is not in alignment. And that really, if I can sit with that and see if I can release holding someone else responsible for my pain or holding someone else responsible for my obstacle, that if I can really lean into that, it really is a teacher. And it sounds like so simple to read it or to hear it, but to work with it is so challenging. And yet, oh my God, if I can actually work with that, it's not necessarily just something that is fun and beautiful, like a really good singer or a song or lyricist. It's also the things that challenge us. And I mean, all of this correlates to what Michael just said. All of it correlates to this idea of the union with the soul, that there's something in us. Life is in us, which is creator, it's creation. And it's just in us living. And this vessel that we have, this name we give ourselves, that it's all a story. And then this miracle that within us, this thing gets to live and watch and experience. And so if I start to look at all of my experiences as creator, having a unique opportunity through me to gather information and gather experience, that each of us in this room, each of the people you encounter in them is the same thing that's in you. It's creation. And yet through you, your unique experiences, it's gathering more understanding and perspective. Wow, isn't that amazing? And then again, we learn to see there's no negative or positive. Look at everyone and everything as the creator through them is learning how to understand something in a way that it wouldn't have been able to understand unless through you. And so then that makes me love myself, that like I don't take responsibility, or I don't have to feel, I mean, I don't take responsibility, let's say, for the life force that's in me, but I do through connecting to that, through meditation, through centering myself in this blissful thing that's living in all of us. So that's kind of where I am right now with the teachings and the idea of teacher. And again, everyone that Dad mentioned, I've been so fortunate to be exposed to as well. And I also could go on. So it's really fortunate thing to have this understanding of teachings and teacher.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, that was amazing for you to talk about, music as being really, or, a musician, um, basically a poet as well, introducing or helping to introduce you into the idea of your life journey and spirituality, and also reflecting on your dad's idea that everything is your teacher, everyone, every experience. So thank you so much for doing that and being here in Peru. Um, I'm going to open it up and see if there's anyone else who'd like to jump in. I know I'd like to hear from Sue. Susan, we spoke a little bit about this topic. Would you like to? Let me jump to Akshat first because I had asked him if there was something he'd like to share.
Yeah,
Akshat, would you like to
thanks.
join in?
Yeah, I just wanted to share a haiku since Sarah mentioned she's a poet. And it's interesting because I actually came across it recently, probably 4-ish days ago, and it's about teacher. And I guess it's synchronous to a certain extent. I posted it in chat and I'll read it now. It's the title is called Teacher's Teacher. Scarce wisdom refused. By failing at learned lessons, my mother's nature or nurture, depending on how you want to read that line. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Teachers, that's great. I'm just looking at your note here. IQ 10 and 14. That's something to reflect upon. Sue,
Akshat, can you tell us? Oh, so sorry. I just want to ask Akshat if he can tell us a little bit more about haiku in general, because some people don't know, but haiku is a really, really cool way to sort of, uh,
Yeah, definitely. So haiku is, I think, comes from like the Japanese way of writing poem. It has to follow, if it's a traditional one, it follows 5-7-5 syllables. Um, and it usually signifies like a short story or like contemplation that you can do. And for me, I personally like haikus because you can expand on them depending on what place you're standing in and what kind of thoughts you're thinking. And most haikus I find are more cryptic because if you read them on different times of the day or different stages of life, you'd get another meaning. So they're almost like a seed to a certain extent, similar to what you were referring to. And it's basically it like the way universe expands, this expands. And here, this was, I think, you know, this to me was more along the lines of, um, I was using mother as mother nature, and I was talking about reincarnation because that's where the second line comes in. So it says by failing at learned lessons, because if you think of it as you're coming back every time to learn the same thing over and over again, but just slightly different way. Um, so so yeah, and yeah, the wisdom is something you can refer to from somewhere else. And then yeah, actually I have another poem. I just wanted to share that one too. This one is it's a poem. Uh it's not a haiku, so it's a little different in format. Let me paste it in chat and I'll read it. It's called A Rock, and this actually I just was inspired like 10 minutes ago. So what is the greatest teacher? Actually, let me guess. The formatting is a bit off, but let me paste it in Notepad and copy it because the lines will show up correctly then. Um,
That's so interesting that even a rock, an obstacle, can be a teacher. And most people, of
yeah,
course, don't see it that way.
yeah. So it goes like, what is the greatest teacher? But something placed on your path. The biggest obstacle you have yet seen, a rock. Something more soft than the hardest place.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Akshat. That's great. We see that our teachers come through music, through poetry, through life experiences, and as Michael pointed out, just by being, your teachers arrive sometimes. I know many years ago, Susan Hagar um, introduced me to the idea that your teachers aren't always just those who want to share with you, but sometimes crisis moments in your life, a teacher will arrive, or you'll discover that they're your teacher through a hard lived experience. And so I credit you, Sue, with being that person who introduced me to the idea. Would you like to share with us what your sense of what a teacher is?
Thanks, Greg. Well, of course, I agree with everything that's been said here today, and it does seem like um, we're in Earth School. And so it seems to me that life is the greatest teacher and likely our challenges. As a mother, most parents would likely say that their children are their greatest teachers. And certainly, I think so for sure. What I wanted to share, Greg, if I may, is just a very quick video, and I'm just going to put it in the chat because I'll pause the recording while I play it because I think it just supports what we're saying here. So I will just share my screen if I can. Yeah, there we go. Oh goodness. Share sound. Okay, let me know if you have any trouble hearing or seeing this. I'm going to just pause the recording for a moment, if I can. All right, let me stop the share. Pause the recording. Yes, thank you, Greg. It's just so clear the mirror that life is through that video. And it does seem that our greatest teachers seem to come through challenges. And this is why we welcome them in some ways, is what was said earlier, is how we get to see ourselves, through other people and know ourselves. And it's a healing journey, and I see that we're all here to help each other to rise up. It's Jacob's ladder. And so we are all teachers for one another. And I really, back to what I said about children, this idea that we're teaching our children and, oh, we have to, they don't know, so we have to be the ones to know. And I think that a lot of the time that's really not true. That sure, there's, matters around safety or whatever, but in general, the opposite is often the case, is that the children are teaching the parents, and we're learning to let go. We're learning so much through this parental role that we find ourselves in. So yeah, that's my share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was going to ask you about that as our children teachers, and you answered that, of course, perfectly. Everyone and everything is your teacher.
Eddie?
Corey,
Corey
did
had
you?
his hand up. Hey, Corey?
Yeah. Corey, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, certainly. Yes, I can have a little bit of something to share with you. You know, well, Michael mentioned something very intriguing, and the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, um, intertwined beautifully with the that book there, Yogananda's Timeless Reflections, the autobiography of a yogi. And it's just fascinating to me how these ancient teachings, they ripple through the ages, and they touch different souls along the way. And Michael himself walked a very unique path, learning directly from respected elders, including the gentle yet profound grandfather William Commanda. It was a revered spiritual guide, deeply rooted in Algonquin wisdom. But Michael's journey didn't end there. His quest led him and Sue to the elders uh, in the heights of the Andes, right, and the Inca, and that tradition in Peru. And each step on his path reaffirmed yet a simple yet powerful truth. Genuine teachings transcend geography, cultures, and even eras. And these masters, whether it's a sage from India, an Algonquin elder, or an Inca wisdom keeper. Sorry, just one sec.
Oh, the pressures of family.
No worries. Uh, you know, they, so they embody it. They remind us that our true teachers lead not through authority or through dogma, but through living examples of authenticity, integrity, and humility. And so I reflect upon my own um, military service, and I recognize that even there, amidst these institutions shaped by power and discipline, the truest lessons emerge from those who acted not from personal gain or praise, but from the quiet conviction and a humble spirit. And those for me were the best leaders that I could have had in my career. And yet, a guru or a teacher doesn't need to be confined to a physical form. And the essence of a guru is something that, as Michael said, as we keep saying, that it awakens wisdom from within you, so it can manifest as an internal voice, a moment of deep insight, an experience, or even an object or a place that's imbued with meaning. And in the Bhagavad Gita, I suppose Krishna represents the divine guru within, an inner voice, you know, that guides Arjuna through these life challenges. And similarly, indigenous traditions, they speak of wisdom revealed through the wind, through all these flowing rivers and animals that cross our paths. And these ancient shamanistic practices, they also teach us that wisdom can arise from dreams, symbols, or natural elements. And as that haiku said there, a rock, or a feather, or a tree, each silently instructing those who are open and ready to listen. So yes, I think the guru is absolutely something unseen, maybe intangible, or even an ordinary object perceived in an extraordinary way. And this universe itself, in all its subtle, um, it often becomes our most profound teacher, and it's patiently guiding us from within and beyond. And Sarah mentioned the unique kind of guru, and that's the poetic genius within the gritty lines of Gangstar. And in creative writing and rap lyrics, profound lessons emerge, cutting through these layers of pretense and hitting truth in the rhythmic with rhythmic clarity. And so even a rap song can be a guru, speaking directly to our experiences, our struggles, and triumph, teaching us that authenticity and raw wisdom through its compelling beats and these unfiltered words. So in the end, perhaps the question isn't merely is a teacher, but where aren't teachers found? And for those who listen closely enough, wisdom is always present, and it's waiting in every corner of existence. So who is your teacher? Life itself seems to be a very curious classroom, where every moment offers a lesson. Every encounter can serve as a mirror. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, but yet, who is this elusive teacher? And my mind functions kind of, and I've had this analogy given to me before. It's kind of like a child's mind. It's kind of like I've had the analogy of a ball in a mountain stream, and it floats effortlessly, carried by these shifting currents of thought, and sometimes it rests gently in these quiet pools, and other times it tumbles wildly through these cascades of rapids. Yet always, eventually, it finds calm waters again. And these ancient sages of India, they say this word. It's neti neti neti, which essentially translates to not this, not this, not this. And it's a profound act of discovery by discarding. And it's akin to sculpting with wood, or carving away a piece after piece, releasing what isn't needed until the true form emerges. So whether it be a finished statue, a totem pole, or even like a dugout canoe, it's rich with symbolism, and perhaps what is the deepest lesson to me is wisdom arises not by clinging fiercely to ideas, or battling against life's currents, but by trusting the stream. And true insights, they come from gracefully navigating the waters. And so letting go when it's time, adapting fluidly, and understanding that in surrendering control, we become one with the river itself. And I think I'll leave it at that.
Hey, Corey, speaking of symbolism, I see behind you, and thank you for sharing all of this, your guitar. And I know you told me a story a long time ago about having sort of a teacher and maybe it was you would consider him a mentor in the music, in your musical life. Is there anything you want to share about that?
Well, so I learned guitar. I play a lot of really old folky music, and yeah, one of my greatest teachers, I would say, is my uncle, and that was kind of the thing that we did. I was always probably staying up way too late. I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I was always hanging out with my uncle. And back in the '90s, before smoking was really frowned upon around children, I was always in these smoke-filled rooms listening to these old lads play the guitar. And so I was consequently I was raised by a lot of elderly gentlemen, mainly because my parents had to work all the time. My old man was a trucker, so he was gone every a couple months at a time, back for a couple weeks. And my mother, she ran a slaughterhouse, and worked like really long hours, 10-hour days usually. And so I always ended up you know, with my uncle, or first it was my grandmother, but then my uncle, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot from being around those old guitar players. And he never taught me a formal lesson, or strict instructions. He just taught by simply being, and by sharing songs and stories freely. His fingers would dance across the strings, speaking these truths and words alone that often miss. And he showed me that music isn't about perfection, but is about expression. Um, an honest conversation between the heart and the hand. And my uncle reminded me that, each chord and melody carries a heritage, a lineage of voices that are passed down, and a kind of gentle wisdom that was whispered, through many generations. And perhaps that's the greatest teaching of all, that, in every note we play, we honor not only our teachers, but everyone who shared their songs before us.
Well, thank you so much, Corey. Yeah, I got that sense that your uncle was a teacher of sorts, but as you say, not in a formal sense, but learning about life and that. And we'll have to hear about your mother and the slaughterhouse teachings later at another time. I'm joking, of course. Michael,
Talk
you
about
want to
there.
jump in? I think you're muted.
Yeah. I just wanted to buttress what Corey is saying. There's a teaching, a spiritual teaching, and a book, and it's entitled "Don't Push the River." That's all.
Wow, that's you'll leave us on a high note and on an inquisitive note. We'll have to make that the subject of further discussions on open mic sessions. Thank you, everyone. I think we'll wrap it up here, and I believe Sue or Michael will be doing carrying us out with the mantra of unification. But I wanted to just mention to you. Open mics are really about everyone, and so we're open to the idea of you sharing ideas with us. If you have anything, you can shoot us an email. There's an email address on the website, so you can always reach us there if you don't have one of our personal email addresses. But really, every couple of weeks we're looking for interesting new ideas to explore. And so please do join in and let's explore some of your ideas. Okay, so thank you so much, Susan or Michael. I don't know which one of you would like to do the mantra today.
Okay,
I
I
think
think
Michael.
Greg, because I don't see Michael. So let us just take a moment and say the mantra of unification. The souls of all are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love that underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love.
Thank you, Sue. We love ending this on the idea of love is everything. Thank you, everyone. We're back on August 17th, and that will be with a special guest. And to find out, we'll keep it a mystery for now, but we'll be posting on Facebook and the website, and also through our newsletter, who that is. And so you can get your thinking caps on. And until then, don't push the river. Thank you, everyone.